Hi, Mike Canning from the Ion On Transfer here, and today I want to have a little chat about pocket-size logos for businesses and what you can expect relating to your particular logos. Now, if you have a lot of text on your logos, you may find that it's highly likely that it's not going to be like this with a non but with no colored background basically. So this is just a white transfer. The reason for this is that if the text is like this, for argument's sake, which is very, very small, if we have a look at the size of this text in this particular logo here, let's just make a little box there. We're looking at 2 millimeters. So we cannot register a cut line because the way that we produce these things is with a print and cut process. So basically it's PU vinyl, which is printed and then cut with either like this, which is just a standard single color print, or like this, which is going to be what we call a full color print because it's got more than one color in. In particular, this one here, because the text was so small, we could only cut around the circle. We couldn't cut these letters and numbers out because they were just too small, and we could not register a cut line to do it. So looking forward to this one here, you can see this has got a square grey background. Again, the issue is the size of the letters at the bottom here, which are 2 millimeters high again, and also this particular window, this window's line is less than 1 millimeter thick, so it's absolutely impossible for us to be able to cut that without having a background. So what we would do is we would print it on a grey background, which is what the customer agreed to have done eventually, after realizing that he cannot have it with a transparent background, and then we just cut the square. So we cut out that square and it makes it very simple. Now the thing is, you don't have to have a square. It can be with curved corners, which makes it look pretty nice. Again, the same issue here. These particular letters below here are 3 millimeters high and just way too small. This larger text that looks large on the screen here, this larger text is, let me just check and see what the size of that larger text is. The larger text is 1.34 millimeters, which would have been cuttable. We probably could have cut that separately if we hadn't have had to do this insurance brokers on underneath it. So because of that, instead of just having the blue book, the customer wanted insurance brokers underneath. So that then became a product that was not possible to actually cut with a transparent background. So we did it like this for them, and they seem to be very happy about it. Here again, we're looking again at the same issue. This text is too small. The text is 5.9 millimeters, which is too small really. So we did the square. They opted for a square black background, and again with this one here, if you look at the text on this one here, this is 1.5 millimeters, which again is not cuttable. So again, they agreed to have a black background. Moving onwards, this particular one here is a half and half. So we managed to get a transparent background on the larger text with the logo, But below it, because this text again was too small, that's 5mm, we had to put a box around it, and we jazzed that up by rounding off the corners, which made it look a little bit nicer rather than it just being a whole square. So rather than doing the entire thing in a square on possibly a black background, we just did this bit of text at the bottom here. Moving on to the next one here. It doesn't have to necessarily be a square box. It can be surrounding the text. So because we don't have to cut this text out, the only thing that we have to cut is this area here, which makes it a complete area and much simpler to be able to cut by just putting that border around everything and then printing it that way and just cutting the outlines, the contours. That made that particular job very, very simple. Here's another one here. This one here was cut with a transparent background. This particular text is the word Australia is a little bit too low, but at the end of the day, because the text itself was rounded and quite simple, we managed to get that one done with a clear background. You have to bear in mind, although on your screen these images are looking quite big, all these images, these logos are roughly around about between 8 and 10 centimeters wide, or 100mm wide in total. And in particular this one here is 5 centimeters wide. So the entire logo is 5 centimeters. We managed to get this done again because the text was rounded, slightly rounded, very simple, basic text. But I think that it's very close to our minimum. So it was just over 6.5mm, which we managed to do. But as you can see here, around this particular logo, there is a very thin border, because without that border we would have had to have cut out every single bit of this stuff within this particular design, and that just made it not cost effective. We did cut this bit out to separate the body from the arm, but that's about as far as we could go on that one given the pricing. Then we look at the ultimate. So this is really the perfect logo. This one here is perfection because it's very simple. It has rounded corners for the text. Very, very simple indeed. And the text itself is big enough. It's only a single color. It could have been more than a single color. But this is 16mm, so it's 1.6 centimeters, and this particular text here was 3 centimeters or 33 mils or whatever, and the overall transfer size was 9 centimeters by 3 centimeters. So that one there is a perfect logo. Basically, it's very uncomplicated, very, very simple to do. And with logos like that, the customer can get that transparent background and is getting what he thinks he was going to get in the first place. So there's a few examples of how your logo could look given the type of text that might be involved within your logo. And although they may have square or rounded corner squares on, they still look pretty good. They don't look too bad. You can have, as I say, you can have it surrounding the, you can have a border surrounding the text if you're that way inclined, and it all looks pretty nice. So I hope this gives you a bit of an insight when you're purchasing your logos, that you've got a general idea of what we may or may not be able to do for you. Thank you very much for your time, and hopefully I'll do some more videos in the future, and we can have another little chit chat. Cheers. Bye.